Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. As promised last week, for today I'm actually going to be working with a rollerball pen, specifically coming from LAMY. You see me right now comparing it with the actual LAMY Safari, and from the exterior, color-wise at least, they look very much similar. But once you remove the cap, you will see, well, some huge differences, especially in the section and, well, the end point or the business end. The section on the rollerball pen is actually more of a tripod. So basically, I don't like it as much as the one from the fountain pen. The fountain pen only has two flat sides, and underneath where your middle finger sits, it's actually rounded, so it kind of gives you some opportunities for different hand grips, while the rollerball pen actually forces you in a specific tripod grip, which I don't like that much. Actually, when I was using it for the drawing today, which took me a while to complete, was a little bit of a pain, and I was trying to find different ways to hold it in order to alleviate some of the pain that I was getting on my middle finger. I even tried to actually combine the parts from one pen to another, and the only part that seems to be sort of interchangeable, it's actually the cap, but even the cap doesn't seem to clip on properly. So personally, I would say you can't really interchange the parts between the pen and the fountain pen. The differences are big enough that they don't really fit properly, even though from outside they might look exactly the same. For the writing part, when I was testing it, I did had a little bit of an issue with the flow of the, ink. This could also be because I have used this pen previously to do some sketches in my portable sketchbook, and I think maybe the dusty nature of the paper might affect how the rollerball actually works on the paper. It had a lot of skips, and ink flow was not properly, or at least not as I remember it when I first tried it and I wrote with it before doing sketches with it. As you will see when I'm doing actually quick gestures, the skipping is actually quite evident and hard to miss. A little bit of an annoyance, but again, I'll blame it again on the paper, and maybe somehow the paper might have affected the ball by even having small fibers stuck in there or something similar. Even though it doesn't really feel like there is any parts of the pen where you actually basically this makes the ball stuck in place and not moves. It still feels like it's rolling properly. It's just the ink flow, it's somehow weird. Oh, and another weird thing is it actually squeaks. When I first, if I remember correctly, when I first used it to do a writing sample, it wasn't squeaking. The flow was actually quite wet, and you could see the ball rolling on the paper. But now, after doing a couple of sketches with it on this paper, it squeaks. It's really weird. It's like it's metal on metal friction, and there's not enough lubrication on the ball. It's basically interrupted by something, either dust or fibers inside the pen. With that aside, when I actually jump into the sketching part, the pen worked exactly how I wanted it to work. Light strokes was leaving just very faint lines on the page, and in order for me to get darker in some areas, I actually had to press a little bit harder. I could also build up the layers by just passing over the same area a couple of times And that was actually adding layers on top of layers and making it darker. So when it comes to control from a sketching perspective, I actually liked it. It worked exactly as intended. And I find it, again, from that perspective only, a little bit better than a fountain pen. With the fountain pen, you have to find the right ink and the right nib size in order to make it work as I want to on this paper. But this roller ball pen seemed to work fine from the get-go. As a matter of fact, the first time I used it to sketch, actually the ink flow was quite heavy and very strong, and I wasn't really able to build up layers as I wanted to, so the drawing that I did had to be a little bit, there was no layers, it was just solid line, and in order to give the impression of darker areas versus lighter areas is by basically using different type of hashing. This time around, I was actually able to basically layer the passes of, or better said, layer the ink that was coming out of the pen, because the ink flow was not as good. Last time I was mentioning that I already have a plan for the drawing for today, or my sketch for today. My plan has changed since then. I realized that the small thumbnail that I drew and I liked, and I wanted to do it at a larger scale, actually it was more for a portrait orientation, not landscape. As I just decided to just go for another random sketch and just come up with something again without a plan. And well, I definitely got something different and new. I started with a couple of circles on the page, more specifically 3 of them, more like ovals, not necessarily perfect circles. And then I drew another oval shape around those 3 things, and starting with the 2 top shapes or round shapes, I started to work outside, towards the outside. So basically I used those as central points to start building my sketch. I had no idea what the end result might be, and actually I've been wondering quite a lot on this drawing up until halfway of the drawing, actually, when I did some specific lines, and then I realized what this thing wants to be. And I was actually quite laughing quite hard by myself, because I was expecting anything but that. So like I'm mentioning, the layering was actually pretty good and allowed me to jump from different parts of the sketch and then come back and add more layers. One thing that I do like about the pen is that there was no smudging, absolutely no smudging, and the ink, it is way more permanent than the actual ink of a fountain pen. On this paper, like I mentioned a couple of times previously, there is some issues with the ink. Either it doesn't get well in between the fibers, or the paper doesn't absorb it very well, or even if it's like a more permanent ink, doesn't seem to bind very well to the fibers of the page. And if you do rub it, you will get a little bit of smudging. But with a rollerball pen, so far absolutely zero smudgings as far as I can tell. And this is one of the reasons why I like to use them in sketchbooks. On loose paper like this, when it sits basically inside the binder and it is protected by the plastic sheet that it sits inside of it, there is usually no smudging no matter what ink I'm using. However, in a sketchbook, when papers do rub against each other, there's quite a lot of transfer from a page to another. So basically what I'm trying to say in here is that I do like the rollerball pen and how it works on the page. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to the ink drawings. Maybe I will from now on. But it looks like the pattern of the paper comes through the pattern or the structure of the drawing that I have. So it almost looks like it is pixelated, but at the same time with the interrupted lines that I have on the drawing is like you have two dimensions of it. And as you see right now, I finally had an idea of what I wanted this drawing to be. And well, it turned out to be some sort of a demonic cat, or maybe some type of, again, alien cat, or out of this world sort of an animal. Those lips turn out to be quite funny. Basically, they're kind of puckered up, ready for kissing. I'm not sure if I want to be kissed by this little thing. Maybe it has its own charm, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know if I want to pet this little thing. Even though it doesn't look like it's dangerous, considering that it has no fangs or claws to dig into your skin. But yeah, it was a lot of just slowly building the layers, jumping from one side to another side, and trying to see patterns that I can build up on it in order to have my shading done properly. Not a lot of thinking. My hand just works by itself, and my brain was thinking about other things. And you'll probably see me throughout the drawing. I keep on changing my hand because, again, that tripod section is not as comfortable in my perspective as the fountain pen version of this pen. My middle finger, after a while, actually started to hurt quite a lot. And I was actually grabbing the pen with the tips of my fingers rather than the side. Eventually, though, I end up with something interesting. I do like it. The drawing by itself, it took me about close to 4 hours. This paper, especially when I'm trying to do detailed drawings like this large format paper, takes a lot of time to fill up. So I might start looking into smaller papers. Actually, I do have a smaller version of the same paper from the same individual, but smaller and white. I haven't tried the white version, and I'm curious to see how the drawings will turn out on that. I'm curious if the dye on the paper affects the drawing style in any way, and how patterns are left on the page. I might not do it for next time, but soon I might start doing some small drawings on that paper as well. But yeah, nothing really special today, just my first time using a rollerball pen in my drawings after 3 years or something like that. And I do like it, especially on this paper. While I'm not going to use it as much in my videos, I will be using them from time to time. I do have a few other rollerball pens that I found them interesting. I mean, it's just basically the shape and the exterior, but in theory the rollerball part should be pretty much the same. I don't have any other colors, I only have blacks. I will try and find some colors, at least some blues. I know there are rollerball pens out there that have blue colors, or at least maybe I'll try and find what is it called? Is it the cartridge? Is it cartridge? Is it the same as a fountain pen, or is it called something else? I don't know. I'll find out, and as I find out, I'll share that information with you. But if you already know, share it with me and teach me more about these pens that I don't use as much. In the end, a funny drawing in my perspective. I don't know if I like it as much as the drawing that I did last week, but I do love the control that I had with the pen and the lines that I actually got from it. While the end result might not be exactly what I wanted, the in-between lines and the shading and the accents that I have on this drawing, I do like quite a lot. And that's the thing that, in my opinion, makes the rollerball pens shine a lot. Anyway, with that said, I think I'm gonna stop here today. I don't know what I'm gonna have next week. I'll let it be a surprise for you and myself at the same time. Most probably it will be a fountain pen, and I want to reuse the blue ink that I used last week. I really liked it, and I want to see how it behaves in other fountain pens. If by any chance the dry nature of it was because of the nib and the fountain pen, or that's the actual nature of the ink. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. Hopefully I'll see you next week, and I wish you all the best and a wonderful day or night, wherever you are. Take care. Bye.